Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 128. Today is week 16 in our series, The Path Back to You. If you're new to this series, we are taking 1 year to discover how to become who you're meant to be. Each month, we dive into a new topic. And this month, our focus is all about removing shame and shedding limiting beliefs. Today, we're talking about your helpful guides, trimmers and glimmers. Let's get started and take this next step on the path back to you. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to 3, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. As we close out our chapter on removing shame and shedding limiting beliefs, we've got to talk about triggers and glimmers. We all know what triggers are. Trigger warning, painful stuff is coming. Triggers are ways we respond, even in ways we can't control, to things that bring up past pain. It's a way our body remembers threats to try to protect us. Glimmers are similar, except instead of remembering pain, our bodies are remembering joy. They are welcoming back beauty and saying, I see you. I remember you. The thing is, both triggers and glimmers are good things because they act as arrows pointing to growth. Here's what I mean by that. If we spend all our time chasing glimmers, that's a sign of immaturity. We can't grow but only so much if we're only doing things that feel good. That's like a kid who wants to eat candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's only fun for so long before your tummy hurts and your teeth rot out. At the same time, focusing only on overcoming triggers so your old wounds don't have power over you anymore is equally damaging. It's 100% possible to be a workaholic when it comes to the work of healing. True growth requires both. Love requires both. Wholehearted living requires both. Both facing the hard and celebrating the good. Avoiding your triggers only keeps you a slave to the people and situations that have hurt you. It's an agreement to stay who they made you into. But each trigger is an invitation to take another step towards healing. This isn't to say that you can immersion therapy your way through all your triggers in a day. Ripping the Band-Aid off of triggers likely won't produce lasting growth because growth takes time. Usually, there's a progression that goes something like this: neutrally noticing triggers, digging deeper, making connections, and taking small steps towards growth. Notice you can't just skip to growth. There are a ton of steps before we even get to growth. But you can't grow until you do all the underground work first. Don't rush the process. You can give yourself time to heal while also refusing to avoid triggers. But the more you avoid facing the pain, the more power it has over your life. Triggers are so powerful because feelings are memory-making machines. When we feel strongly, we create especially powerful memories. A while ago, I had an experience that recalled my feelings and core wounds of abandonment so strongly that it stopped me in my tracks. I share that very personal story with you in my course, The Path Back to You. When you feel like you're losing your mind, I'm here to help you restore your soul. A few years ago, I woke up and felt like everything in my life was a lie. I didn't recognize myself or any of the people around me. For the first time in my life, I questioned everything I had ever been taught or told. I didn't know what was true anymore, and I felt like everything I knew was slipping away from me. I went through a complete dark night of the soul, until I was forced
by something much more powerful than me and my fears, to stop running from myself and start facing the truth. That the pain in my life wasn't coming from the world around me, but from the pain inside me. I remember thinking, what if the cause of your pain and the cure for your pain is the same? You. That's what my program, The Path Back to You, is all about. Not starting over, but starting again on a path that will return you to yourself, a path that will heal and refine you, a path that will break you and make you whole. When searching for answers to what felt like an all at once, completely sudden, never ending list of questions with no answers, all I found was the advice, just sit with yourself and heal. All the answers are inside of you. And I remember thinking, gee, thanks. That's helpful. I know I need to heal, and I'm willing and ready to do the work to do that, but how? Where do I begin? Well, it took some time, but after years of therapy, researching on my own, trial and error, mess ups and setbacks, I found my way back home, back to myself. In The Path Back to You, I share with you my own personal story of struggle and trauma as a sacred offering. My hope is that through my story, you can better see yourself. I share with you my darkest moments and the steps I took to find my light, the light I had dimmed for most of my life. Throughout all the heartache I've endured, I've finally found peace, and I want to share my roadmap with you. If any of this resonates with you, trust that this episode found you for a reason. Trust the divine intervention. Those brave enough to have embarked on a healing journey know how incredibly lonely and painful it is. I remember feeling completely isolated, like I didn't even belong in this world anymore. It was scary as hell. But I want you to know you are not alone. While I fully believe healing is a solo journey, I think it's totally okay to have a roadmap and a pathfinder who has gone before you to guide you as you return home to you. Join me on the path back to you. Click the link in the show notes or go to jessicazimmerman.com to learn more. And just for you, podcast listeners can get 15% off with code PATH15. That's PATH15.
To close out this chapter, many of our triggers are rooted in shame and limiting beliefs. We can't overcome them by ignoring them. We have to face them. We have to meet ourselves with the kind of gentleness and love that we maybe weren't offered. You can't bully yourself into growth. Just like any good rose bush, growth comes with feeding, nurturing, sunlight, and sometimes painful pruning. Think of glimmers like the sunlight and facing trimmers like the pruning. One feeds you and one helps channel growth. Both are necessary. Both are good. Both require giving yourself time and space to feel and express. You are worth listening to. Want to learn how you can practice moving through triggers and toward glimmers? Join my course, The Path Back to You, to read more about triggers and glimmers and get more practical tools to help you move towards growth. Thank you so much for joining me today as we journey together on this path back to you. I hope what you heard today resonated with you and you can take it with you into your week. If you're looking for more resources for the journey, go to jessicazimmerman.com. And while you're there, check out the Path Back to You page. I'll see you right back here next week for our next leg of the journey.